All right, guys. So today on how I got started as a host, we have Missy Schill. How are you doing, Missy?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking time to share your story. I know we chatted before, and I just love your story. It's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing it again, and for you being able to share that with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just some background. Where are you from?
I'm from originally Lakewood, Ohio. I now live in Westlake, Ohio. There's suburbs outside of Cleveland, so about 10 minutes away from Cleveland.
Cool. And you've been out there most of your life?
Yep, my whole life. Yep, born and raised here, 38. So.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so we have to dive into this story, how, because everyone has such a different story on how they got started as a host.
Right.
Yeah, how did you get started as an Airbnb host?
So, my story. So I was married to my husband, who I had been with since I was 16. I have kind of a unique story, but I went through a very unexpected divorce, to put it professionally. And basically, after we were together 18 years, and I had 3 children, and my ex-husband left for his 24-year-old mistress without any notice. It was shocking to everyone here. So, and even though, I was kind of thrown into a situation of trying to figure out how I was going to keep my house and keep my kids in the house where they went to school, and going from being a stay-at-home mom, pretty much a stay-at-home mom, to now trying to provide and financially support myself was incredibly a rough sight, how I was going to do it and not change my kids' lives too much. So basically, with my favorite term I use is with anger as my gasoline, is I did the basement, my basement apartment, completely by myself from floor to ceiling.
Renovating.
I renovated. Yes, I did everything. I did all the work. I didn't sleep much, and it was sort of a healing mechanism. It was a healing tool for me. It was, coping, I guess. And at the same time, I wasn't sure. I'd never heard of Airbnb at that time. I didn't know what I was doing with it. I guess I was hoping maybe I could get a family member to, stay down there and help with rent, or and it ended up turning out, really, really nice. And I was afraid to list it on something like Craigslist or that type of thing. Like, you don't know who you're going to get, and sometimes things don't go well with family and friends. So I tried to, I wasn't until about two or 3 months before I was finished, where I was finishing the basement, where an ad popped up on, I believe it was Facebook, for Airbnb, and I was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, short-term rental, well, that's good. You don't get stuck in year-long, leases if you don't get along with the people. I do have a common area in our house that, so I just thought, I checked into it and I created an account, and I decided, as I finished the basement, I realized how nice it was going, it was looking, and how successful Airbnbs were, and did a little bit of after a little bit of research, I decided to set a launching date, and I was booked from the day I opened to, I have, I'd say about probably 90% booking rate, and the days that I'm not booked are usually because I have them blocked on my calendar. Nice. So here we are.
Nice.
That was in 2017 is when at the end of the year, and I opened in the very beginning of 2018. So.
Excellent. Yeah, it's
Yes.
really like a story of like beauty from ashes, like where
Exactly.
like you went through like this like
Right.
trial in a sense, and
Right.
you made the best of it. Like
It taught my kids an incredible amount of like they have in itself like knew I was going through a very rough, very rough situation, regardless of what I tell them, and we all were, but it absolutely was something that showed them like resilience,
yeah,
of not giving up and finding a way to make things work. And I know that even through my divorce, everybody said I would never be able to afford my house and keep it, and I should just sell it. And that was in 2016, and here we are, and I'm still here.
yeah,
So kind of like my way of it's. I think it shows, for one, a huge. I know for other females that have guests that I've had, they've been very inspired. I know with males, they've been impressed with the work I did down there. I mean, and females too. Especially being, especially that's not my area, so a lot of YouTube videos.
yeah. No, it's so good.
Yeah, so it was, there were struggles, and I just, to be able to, like I said, overcome all of that and be able to successfully, launch and have it work, that was really huge. So
what have been some of the challenges as a host?
Right. Some of the challenges are some of the challenges come from worrying about so I live in a split level home, so sometimes I'm always worried if I do antique work on the side, and so sometimes I'm worried that if my garage is messy or my work area, so it's difficult sometimes. I have kids that also we have a common area through like the back porch, or they're welcome to use this area as well, and it gets a little stressful, and like making sure my kids are older, but just making sure that it's tidy all the time is a little bit, it's kind of like Uber drivers having to keep their car clean all the time, so that part's been a little bit a challenge. Yeah. And then it's not, I guess, not what I originally thought would be my challenges were not my challenges. I was nervous about having people I didn't know, on the property, and that hasn't, the challenges I was afraid of were not the challenges that ended up, that they ended up not being an issue. So.
Right. That's so interesting. Yeah. What advice would you give somebody if they were thinking about starting as a host?
So if they have with an area, like I said, I was trying to make an area that didn't impose on my area. I did not want to have to deal with sharing my kitchen. I didn't want to have to deal with, if they were private people. I am a chatty person, and if they're private people, I wanted to make sure I could give them their privacy. So, I definitely think I've tried to think of. There's a lot of tools and literature that you can get to help prepare, and making sure that you have like safety, like a fire extinguisher and first aid kits, and have something down there that shows, like your local emergency room where it is. I think showing the guests that you appreciate them, which if they still see the photos, but the maps that I have, a push pin map that we will see, it's when we look at the place, and that having everybody sort of giving them a spot, like that makes them feel very appreciated. Makes it not, like this is the Airbnb and this is your area. Like it's, making sure that area is theirs and not yours. Like making sure that you don't have your personal property down there. Nobody wants to have to move somebody's stuff out of the way in a bathroom, or You're just making sure that you have it very targeted to being every individual's person, individual space, and showing that you appreciate, that the guests aren't just, they're not like a paycheck, they're your guests, and I mean, just like when I host friends, like, or when I have friends over and they stay over, you want them to be comfortable and you want it to be like home. You want them to have, like, a blanket, if you have friends sleeping at your house, you want to make sure that they're, comfortable. And that's sort of like similar thing as far as when I traveled, anytime I've traveled, it's frustrating. If you're in a hotel and you don't have certain things, it's like, I try to provide everything. Even I have boxed toothbrushes that I give to people in case they forgot their toothbrush, and individual packets of soap they can open just like a hotel, but so that they don't, feel weird, especially right now during COVID, that they don't feel weird. Nobody wants to use somebody's old bar soap, obviously, or like even some people are, especially with COVID, touching a hand soap right now. So I think that's, there's a lot of, one of the biggest things I get is how much I've thought of everything. My reviews, many guests say she really thought of everything. Like, and I try to just make it just like home,
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. So, what does it mean to be a good host for you, like in your words?
So, making them feel comfortable. I'm making them understand that like they're not. It's not. I don't want them to ever feel like they are imposing on me.
Yeah. And
I don't. Just trying to find. I meet every one of my guests before I check them in.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I absolutely, and I know some places like I know some people are fans of like self check-in, but I personally like to meet every single guest just to get to know each other and let them know that that this is it's personal. I take the time and do that, and we arrange a meeting time, and but a good host absolutely keeps nobody wants to find a hair anywhere, keeps us spotless. It needs to be like how you would, how we all would want it to be when we go stay somewhere. We all want to have somewhere where you can't tell that somebody was there the day before, I think that's huge. Even it's a lot of work, and that's the biggest thing. It's like if you're not somebody that's a meticulous cleaner, then you need to hire cleaners. Like that's if you're not able to know that you can get something, the place cleaned and turned over, then that's just. But that is the biggest thing. And this was my thing before COVID happened. Was I was made sure that like I said, nobody wants to find a crumb or anything from somebody else. Like, so my place is absolutely like, I want it to look like how I would want to if I was coming. I want it to be that clean. Like, I don't want to touch a light switch and think that somebody touched. Like you don't, especially with the era we're in right now. So, and just make it feel like home. I want them to be comfortable. I want them to feel homey. And that's been my goal.
That's awesome.
Yes. I also enjoy, I'm very welcoming person, and immediately I get a lot of that about how instantly, like any sort of, anxiety that even guests might have arriving, that instantly everything, it just kind of, calms right down and everybody relaxes because I'm very easygoing. And it's okay you can be an easygoing host and be a great host, So
I always personally loved meeting the hosts of wherever I was staying. Sometimes there is the self check-in, and that's cool too. But whenever I travel, I love to meet the hosts because you get to talk to them.
Exactly, and that's one of my favorite parts is when I leave like my interaction with guests up to them, but that is one of the things that I really enjoy is when you have a good connection with someone is making friends from all over the world,
Yeah.
and hanging out that night. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of people here, and it's like, I remember each individual, ones where we went above and beyond and hung out together at certain like that's an experience that for all the people in my family, my kids, like that everybody's really enjoyed, especially the cultural experience. It's just pretty, that's been pretty exciting too, which is probably one of your other questions, so I'll save that.
Yeah, I love that. Let's dive into your place actually. So I'm gonna just go ahead and share my screen. And wait, can you see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome.
A little tiny.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna be like an old lady all up close to your screen, but
no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so you are in Cleveland, Ohio, correct?
Right. Yeah, I'm in Westlake, Ohio, which is a suburb outside of Cleveland. It's one of the a very safe, well kept, beautiful city. And it's nice because a lot of people come into Cleveland, and I'm a very safe location, but still very, so that you don't have to stay inner city, which some people prefer, and that's fine too. But being a safe sort of, and also being able to kind of guide them as to what areas to, avoid during certain times of day and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'm about 10 minutes away from Cleveland, so.
Excellent. Okay, so I want to just dive into some photos. You can kind of just tell us a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit bigger. Okay, cool.
Okay. So it's sort of the basement apartment here, and it's sort of a studio style with a bedroom, and you can see those closed doors right there. Behind those closed doors is the bedroom. So this is like the main kitchen sort of area, sitting area. You can't really, I don't think, see it very well, but there is a corner, a desk there with office supplies and anything you'd need. Pencils, stapler, tape, so there's a fully stocked office desk in the corner, which I'll show you in a different picture if you get there. But so this is a view standing a little bit further back with that back bedroom door open. So this is inside the bedroom there, and there's two, I think they're full-size beds. It's hard to tell. They're not, I don't know if they're not quite queen, but one is all memory foam, and I've been told that I need to represent that more because I'm not sure, but I've heard a lot of business people that have traveled have had some bad experiences with comfortable beds, and that I would say that is another huge important feature, is making sure that you can't just put I don't like this scratchy blanket anymore, I'm going to put it in my Airbnb. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, you have to make sure that everything there is not your leftovers. You have to make sure everything's, I think that's a huge part too. It's like making sure everything's soft and new and fresh and no stains and, welcoming, like inviting. It's huge. So like those blankets on the other inside are like velour, I don't know, they're incredibly soft blankets, and like I said, memory foam mattresses, and really, I always, like the sheets are. I'm that type of person anyway, where I like comfortable, soft things. So, like I said, nobody wants to sleep with scratchy sheets or anything.
Okay, cool. Let's go. So this is like more of the kitchen, eating area.
Yes. Yeah, and actually the table's on the other end of the kitchen now. Sorry, but because I added a little, some extra counter space. It's like a little table that the sides fold up in order to just a little bit more counter space and storage. So, and there's 4 chairs now. So this is my little kitchenette, like mini kitchen. Excuse me. It's an IKEA set, and I love this. It's so fun. It's one of my it was one of my favorite things to kind of get up and go on is that one. So there's the mini fridge there, and you can see it has separate freezer. I have everything, every utensil that you need. I have a bunch of different means of cooking, and I think that's also what sets Airbnbs kind of apart from hotels a little bit. Is being able to just save money on some of that area of eating out every day, or even if you eat out every day but yet you want a Tupperware container to put it in, or be able to warm it up on a plate later. So I have some mini supplies there, but I do have fully, because it's a mini kitchen, but I do have the actual real size stuff as well, and on the shelf there.
Let's go.
So this is this is one big open area besides the bedroom, and this is facing the other way, and this is the living room area. You'll see. I was going to say, as the next picture, you'll see that couch is a sleeper sofa.
Oh, perfect.
Pulls out and just sleeper, and that's also a memory foam mattress.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, that's like I said, I think that was one of my very first guests. Was he traveled? He sold. We're still friends to this day. He sells Cutco knives. And he goes basically to Costco's all over the country. So he stays at many, 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 many Airbnbs, and he was incredibly helpful. I was looking for, places for improvement, but he helped me on sort of a lot of places that really make mine stand out. And I thought that was, I was, like I said, I'm always looking for guest advice. Especially if they travel to many Airbnbs, I always want their input. I do not get offended by somebody, I didn't realize that his whole biggest thing was about beds. I don't want to sleep if I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, 10 days. I don't want to sleep in an uncomfortable bed, and which I get that. And then he's standing all day and working long hours, so.
Awesome.
So
corner.
Yeah, a little corner desk.
Love that.
And like I said, it's got it's fully with whatever you need for an office. Highlighters, red pens, black pens, pencils. It's got sticky notes. Just I do try to appeal to business people as well.
Cool. That's awesome. That's the hallway, and then love the artwork, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is sort of where you enter. This is that my house has a little bit. It's a split. It's multi-levels. So this is the ground level where my garage is in the back of the house. So a lot of times if I use my back door, so it doesn't. Okay, so you come through, this is basically the first view of coming through the back door. And there's a room there that anybody's welcome to use. It's a common area room. It's not really designated as my space or my guest space. It's just a common area. It's kind of not used much either, but it's just a nice sofa and everything. I don't know if I have a picture of the rest of it, but basically it's just a room you walk through. And if you go to the next picture, you'll see, I think I have the 2 doors, yeah. So the door with the wreath on it, which you could see in the previous picture, just how close it is to the back door. That's where the guests, that's where they would go down into there, and you can see the steps. And go back. If you go back, if you see the steps in between the 2 doors, so I go up there. In your picture before that, I go up there to where, my area is, I guess, and the guests go downstairs. So that's the easiest way to explain it. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So now you can go to theirs. Yeah. So I do have, there's I think 6 steps, but there's very solid railing there. My mom has a bad hip, and that was really important to me too, to make sure safety is always, I was a lifeguard growing up, and a number 1 dispatcher too for many years. So I always try to make sure that things are, we've all had, experience with, sore legs or arms or something. And, I just so the railing's solid there, and like I said, making sure that safety is like always key. And it's just a couple of steps. So this is a picture of the bathroom. It's a full-size shower. That's another compliment I get a lot is the shower. Yeah. It is a very big shower. And yeah, so it's always, that was another, the nice big clean shower. I do provide shampoo and conditioner in there and stuff, but sometimes guests like their own space too, and so that's another ability as a host, is to try to like figure out a balance of providing things or moving it so that they can put their own shampoo and conditioner in there and not feel like they're moving yours out of the way.
Got it.
So that's my the laundry room is attached to the bathroom with a pocket door. So that's, the pocket door's open, but you don't have to stare at it all the time. But like for the picture, it's open right now. But that's the laundry unit, and I always welcome guests to do laundry if they're here for longer term stays. If they needed to do laundry, I know that when I had one family that had children, and the weather in Cleveland, you can never really predict our weather. I always tell them, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. But I had a family with children here, and it was supposed to be, it was unseasonably for them cold, and she had to go buy a bunch of clothes for her children. And so even if she was just here for one night, though, she wanted to wash them before it gets warm. And I never have an issue with anybody, especially, and then obviously for longer term guests, that's it's sort of a necessity, to be able to do laundry.
That's great that that's available. That's awesome. And we have a picture of the front of the house.
Yep, front of the house.
Perfect. So where do guests, are they able to park?
So I send them in a check-in link a picture if you look at the end of the driveway, all the way at the, I don't think it's listed on the pictures that you can see from my listing, but once they're a confirmed guest, I do send them check-in instructions, they're called, and I have they have their own designated, if you actually go back to the previous picture. So all the way at the end of the driveway, I do have a closer up picture that I send, and I have an X where they that is like their designated spot, and anybody that comes to my house, and they all know not to park that spot, don't block that spot, like that's their spot, so they always have I have plenty of places. You could go to the next one. I'm not sure if I have the whole, so basically where I'm standing is where they park. And so but like I said, I always send a picture with, it has an X in that spot to show them where it is to park. Got it. And then there's just some pictures of my backyard. There's a patio.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. The playground has been a huge success for people traveling with kids. It's honestly like having somewhere to go, to go outside and let your kids burn off a little energy, and that's a big difference with hotels, like or staying in other types of places, or even other Airbnbs without it. It's having a place to just let. I have 3 kids. I have raised a lot of them. I have neighborhood kids. Like I've always been somebody that has tried to be very accommodating to people with children, especially having so many of my own, that knowing the inconveniences of not being able to, you want kids to behave it, but you gotta let them burn off energy and stuff. So that's been a huge plus for people traveling with children.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have just more of the backyard. And
yes.
We have a random frog.
A random frog. Well, I originally, I guess it's there is in my description, it explains that it's kind of like, this place is sort of the perfect mix of like being so close to the cities, but yet I have a large property with woods in the back, and so still having a touch of like nature. It's not you can see turkeys and deer and frogs and toads and So there's just a lot of wildlife that's like right in my yard here. So, it's a very nice feature, even though you're in a suburb and in the cities, and you got places all over that are. It's the whole property here is a half acre. So, and like I said, a wooded lot behind my house. So it's nice to sort of have some privacy and seclusion and wilderness aspect to it too.
Yeah. So does anybody ever catch one of the turkeys? Like,
on Thanksgiving? No, I'm just kidding. No, they're I think they usually travel with so many of them that they're kind of a little intimidating. They don't look very friendly. Like, it's not what you see. Like, not what you would think. They're big too. Like, they're a lot bigger, and they're kind of they don't move out of the road for you. Like, they're not afraid of your car. So it's kind of like they're not intimidated by the car. I don't know. Nobody catches that I know of. I'm sure there's legally probably some concerns with that too.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That's so cool. Wow, thank you. And then let's kind of dive into some of the things to do around the area. So
So I think I do have one of the pictures on my listing that shows Huntington Beach and how close it is from there. So I would say that Huntington Beach is a great benefit for how close it is. I mean, my kids can ride their bikes there. That is Huntington Beach is. So you want to talk about the Metro Parks first?
Let's do You're good.
All right.
So
the Metro Parks.
The parks.
So the Metro Parks are a large. I mean, where I grew up in Lakewood, we grew up calling it the Valley. So it's a large valley, or it's got hiking trails, biking trails, bridle trails. You can go fishing there. There's waterfalls. There's swimming. I mean, it's basically it's a very, very that's something that's important to me, because that's how I grew up, is to have that that bit of nature out there too, to just be able to go and explore and get lost in, or and then also, but so many people come train here for races and meets and that sort of thing, that that's been a big benefit to a lot of people that are coming into the area for events, like physical events, or triathlons, that type of thing. It's a beautiful place just to even just go. I mean, it's just a gorgeous.
Yeah. How far are you away from the Metro Parks?
So there's many entrances to the Metro Parks. There's literally an entrance from every city around here. So and it also, there's technically that area by Huntington Beach is considered the Metro Parks too. So, but from the main area, about 10 minutes in order to get, but you could drive down there, you could drive through the Metro Parks. It's very large. That's what I'm trying to say.
Got it.
It's a lot of area it covers, and
right. But
so you can get,
as a guest. So if I wanted, if I was staying at your place and I wanted to go visit the park, how far of a drive should I?
10-minute drive.
10-minute drive.
10-minute drive. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
And then this was really cool. I haven't heard about this. How do I say this again?
Crocker. It's Crocker Park.
Crocker Park.
Yeah, Crocker Park is that is sort of what Westlake's known for. People come from all over it's sort of like an outside shopping mall is the idea of it. It's got every store that you can imagine. It's massive. They have everything in there, from an Apple store to Trader Joe's to movie theaters. They have ice rinks. I just took the kids yesterday ice skating. They have an outdoor ice rink during the winter. During the summer, they have live music. They have movies that play during the nicer months too, where you can, it's like a drive-in, but it's like a walk-up movies. You can watch movies play. They have their own police department at this mall. It's I mean, it's very cool, very unique type of a design, and because of its design, it's massive as well. And if there's a store that people like, it's going to be a Cracker Barrel. Like that's like their goal, is awesome. To be, yeah.
How far are you away from that?
Well, I'm not far mileage wise. It's just that traffic in that area, can get a little bit. It's just more about the amount of red lights over there and everything. Gotcha. But so basically, on a drive, if you were going at your busiest time of day, you'll still get there in 10 minutes. But it's actually not very far. It's not far from my house at all. So it's just more, the time of day that you go.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a great place to visit.
Oh, it is great. It is. It's like I said, everything you can, and the outdoor activities, the tree lighting ceremonies during the winter, and the celebrate they have. I forget what they call the 4th of July thing. Excuse me, sorry. But they, there's a 4th of July ceremony there too. They host a whole. It's an area where things are always going on. So
that's awesome.
it's almost like a mini downtown. There's also pretty high-end condos there, which that's where a lot of the professional athletes stay when they during their seasons here.
Very cool.
Yes.
And let's go on to Huntington Beach, Cleveland style.
Yes, Huntington Beach. So a lot of people don't think of Cleveland being on the water, but Lake Erie, it is such a wonderful thing to have a beach so close to here. So I have a map that I provide for my guests, and there's 2 different spots that I always recommend, and I have them marked to show exactly. The one spot is is very close, and it's a little private, secret, little hidden. I can't get too specific. I'll give away my secret.
Yeah. I love that.
One spot that if they're looking for sort of like a, nice, like quiet night on the beach, and they don't want to be dealing with, the crowd of a beach. I always send them to this little spot, and it's public. It's not a private property or anything. It's got a waterfall and everything. There's a lot of people do take their dogs there, so but it's a nice little romantic spot or a nice. I take my kids there constantly. We go look for sea glass, just as or go watch the sunset. And that is like just a couple miles from my house. Maybe a 5-minute drive. So, but right down the road from that is Huntington Beach, and that's your actual sort of touristy type of your typical beach where you got lifeguards, and it's you have a lot of people there. There's ice cream and public restrooms. So whichever one you prefer, you can. If you prefer to be have a little bit more private, like I said, I always try to. That's a huge thing about being a host too, is trying to feel out your guests a little bit, because they always ask you, where is there a good place to go eat around here? And it's like, I don't know what it's hard to know people's budget or their style within the first minute of meeting them. Right. And I don't know if they want me to send them to a 5-star restaurant, or if they're talking about, Taco Bell's around the corner. It's like, I don't know I don't want to, it's hard to just make assumptions. So that's why I always throw out those 2 places. But I love, we spend a lot of time on the water during the nice weather months around here. So excellent. I think that, yes, I love that's nice benefit there.
And
So that was downtown Cleveland.
And how many minutes you're about from that?
10 minutes. It's all highway. I'm pretty much 10 minutes from everywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
It's all highway. Just to get to downtown Cleveland. 10 minutes away. They have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So depending on where you're going, but if you're just going to downtown Cleveland, it's like I said, 10-minute drive, and that's why one of the biggest, I guess, one of the perks of my place is being so close to Cleveland, to be so close to the city, but at the same time being in such a nice, safe neighborhood, very upscale, up and coming, and beautiful city. And it's a nice option for people that want to go to downtown, but not necessarily want to like stay there.
Right. And you can get a cool photo. Like, that's really awesome.
Right. There's the one Cleveland sign. So when we talked about Huntington Beach, down the road, like down the farther east on Lake Erie is Edgewater Beach, which isn't that far either. Again, it's probably like, it's a little bit different direction. It's closer than downtown, but you got to get off the highway. So Edgewater Beach there's one of those. There's 4 Cleveland signs like those throughout the city of Cleveland. And the 2 closest to me are at Edgewater Beach and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But you can get out and you take pictures on the Cleveland sign, and that's been a huge, that's been a big, a lot of people really enjoyed doing that while they were on their stay here, making sure that they go hit that sign at Edgewater. And it's probably also 10 minutes from me. It's like I said, it's closer, but then a little bit, it has more of a drive off of the highway to get to. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see, this is Cedar Point, which
Point
is very famous, right? I believe.
It is yes.
Yeah.
I believe, and hopefully I'm not giving wrong facts here, but I believe that it has the most roller coasters. It's the amusement park with the most roller coasters. It is famous. People come from all over. I've hosted people from Texas going to, as far as Texas, they've come here. It's a nice option for people. So my house, I'm 45-minute drive to there, which I know it's not technically that close, but anywhere around there. I think I mentioned before, just like if you tried to stay somewhere outside of Disney World, you're gonna be paying, everything's gonna be incredibly expensive. So a lot of people will choose the option of, my house with a 45-minute drive, and then it's not nearly what the price hike that you would get all around that area.
Right. Yeah, it's a good option to like the night before or something, spend the night at your place and then drive out in the morning.
I mean, we all, if you're local here, we all go out for. Many people get season passes. Many people I know, get season passes and go out to Cedar Point. And so I mean, it's common for, we drive out there. It's a 45-minute drive. They close, I think, down by 11 or 11:30. You drive home. You're home by midnight. It's like it's pretty. It's not unusual at all for us, people to do that. So it's a very doable drive.
Yeah. Do you know if they're open right now during Corona or?
They were open. Yeah, they were open over the summer because of Corona, but you had to make reservations to go.
Got it.
Oh, and they only were taking people with a season pass. Like they only, I believe, and I could be wrong about that, but to my understanding, that they were only selling season passes, and but then the season pass holders had to, like, I think you had to have a reservation. I could be wrong about that. I don't. I'm not a season pass holder. It's hard to, like, my kids are older, so they go with their friends. So I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then something interesting. You were near the Cleveland Clinic. Pretty close. Yes. How far are you from there?
So that's the Cleveland Clinic main campus is about, depending on traffic, half hour. I mean, if you're going to go there first thing in the morning during rush hour traffic, you probably need to allow yourself, 40 minutes. But so that is Cleveland Clinic's main campus, and we have people from all over. The top of the line doctors are there. Yeah. I've hosted many doctors or soon-to-be doctors doing their clinicals or doing their residency, or I've had. It's funny that wasn't really something I considered when I first opened up, was the amount of soon-to-be doctors that I would have. But it's great for them because a lot of times they'll come here for a month to 3 months, and to be able to have things a little bit more, of the luxuries that you have at home, so like to be able to do your own cooking and not, to be able to go sit in a backyard and enjoy the evening, so they a lot of them really, that's been for a large group of people. I've had foot doctors and eye doctors and out of the country doctors. I've had lots of doctors, which has been a great thing for me. So once again, though, also we have UH and Metro. Metro is a level. I don't want to say this wrong, but it's a trauma ER. So Metro is a big one too, that a lot of people come between those three hospitals. I've had quite a few. That's been a big selling point for my place too, because again, it's easy to get to for work, but yet at the same time you're not staying in an inner city. You're staying. You got a nice place that's nice and safe, and lots of other features that you can't really get with inner city type of places.
Right. Yeah, and your place is a great price too for that.
I try to keep it a fair price. Now, I do charge. I did when we were looking at the listing. I do actually have an additional full size airbed that I can set up too. So I do try to the more people you have, depending on, I try to go by how many beds I have to set up and take down and launder and all that. But yeah, I do have if you get. But yeah, I try to keep my price pretty fair. And even my cleaning fees nothing, so compared to a lot of other places. So
that's awesome. Well, so those are some of the things to do around the area.
Yes.
And then we saw your place. Was there anything else you wanted to share that didn't ask or anything like that?
I would say, that I did want to mention about there's two different sort of types of hosts. There's the ones that don't stay on site, and there's the ones that they call it a home. Well, there's probably three different types. You have your ones that rent, a cabin or something, and they're not there. And then you have your shared home, which then gets kind of divided into two categories. But, if you have a home share, so some people actually, rent bedrooms in their house and everything and share their kitchen and everything. And my category of things are not it's somewhere in between, because we are not sharing kitchens or bedrooms or things like that, but yet I'm still on site, so I'm here to be able to offer, suggestions or where to go or where a certain store is, or local laws, or, I know there's three. I had three prospective doctors that they were here for about a month or 2 months, and we became very close with them. But a huge, this has been one thing that I've noticed was the amount of parents that have sort of pushed their children to stay here, as far as just seeing it being like a family home and having me here. Mm-hmm. And I try not, having it for safety. They feel very comfortable, even if their kids are adult children, is what I mean. The three doctors, I actually FaceTimed with their mom back in Jordan, the very first day they were here. And, just they were so, no matter what country you're coming from, moms are nervous about, where their kids are staying. And it was, and I've had that, with another girl too, where I heard her father wanted her here. It was it's just having somebody on site to be able to, especially if you're from another country, to be able to have some guidance and go and ask somebody. I've had, people from other countries, even just they had to ask about tipping.
Yeah, you're like a host mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of like that with people too.
That's so cool.
Mama hen. I'm always mama hen. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But that's that's been something that's been a big, thing for parents feeling, relieved. Even like I said, if they're adult children, that they're having somebody to just kind of guide them a little bit. Is the big plus a bonus to, picking, to having staying here, I guess is what I mean.
Right.
It does make I've been to another country, and having a local that you can trust is really crucial when you're traveling, so, and I've met, I don't know, I sent you some photos, but I've met so many people from all over the world, and it's so fun and neat to see one of our, to see the cultural differences, and it's taught my children such a great, diversity, and about people, whether there's language barriers or, just the respect between, a grown adult child and their parents, or, just the nature of things, it's just the cultural difference has been a great. I love learning that type of stuff. Like I think but just to be able to meet people and see that from not leaving my house is one of the biggest benefits that I can say as a host, is that I feel very blessed to get that type of experience and without leaving my house, and a lot of times, when we hang out and socially, like I said, I leave that up to the guests, but there's many times that, if we end up on a little bit more of a relaxed basis, sitting around and chatting, then learning some fun things about even just words, like where you're from. Do you say, crayfish or crawfish or crawdaddy, or, just some fun stuff like that. I find that's something that's been, did you want me to tell my treehouse story?
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah. So I had another group of young men from out of the country, and that was funny. I do have a treehouse in the back, but it is usually locked. It's not necessarily just situational. But these young men were from another country and had never seen a treehouse, which is pretty common here in the States, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they said, "You have house and tree?" And I said, "Yeah, it's a tree house." They're like, "What do you do with house and tree?" And I said, for the kids. It's for the kids. They're like, "You put your kids in house and tree?" For fun. For fun. So I love that kind of stuff. That's just been such a, the cultural differences have just been, I think, like I said, a great learning lesson for my kids too, seeing cultural differences. And we have a lot of people on tour. We've had a lot of band members coming through here, and there's a young girl that I usually try to go when I have people on tour and they're doing a show here, which, by the way, if you do, you can go visit. If you are on tour, you can visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for free. If you are a musician on tour.
Oh, wow.
You don't get charged. Yeah. So it's also been so. It's funny though, because my children, I had a family here come through here that had a daughter with them around my kid's age at the time, and she was raised on. Basically, they just got back into the country and were now doing the U.S. tour, and she's been raised basically, an RV, and homeschooled, and her parents are in this very successful band, and it's my kids looking at her, we're like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, you are the coolest thing ever, they thought that was that her lifestyle compared to, then she's looking at it going oh, how cool, you have a cat. I would just love to be able to have a cat. So some of those just stay home and watch TVs one day, or so some of it was it was very eye-opening, even just the different the different just blend of it. But it's just, I feel like a lot of good learning lessons for myself and my kids.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
It's good. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Missy, your story and your place and things to do around the area. And
just a cultural experience and everything.
Yeah, it's been very cool. Yeah, and to any hosts that are, to wrap it up, to any hosts or any people that are thinking about doing it, and like I said, I do think there's a little bit of a divide between on-site hosts and not on-site. I probably wouldn't be able to speak for the ones that are not on-site because I am, that's not my situation. But as far as being on-site, I think it's a great, it's incredibly neat to meet people and the bonds that you make and the amount of friendships from all over the world. And it's hard, like even if you do the best job you can do, there's going to be people every now and then you do get that, like sort of that one situation where, it weighs on you a little bit. It's a little like disheartening, but that is such a very small percentage, that it knocks you back a little bit here and there, but there's so many positives that outweigh that it's just, like I said, the amount of friends that I have, that lifelong friends forever, or learning to play the guitar, or it's just a lot of really neat experiences that are, those were perks that I didn't really realize that I would ever have. So, and the important thing too is that here I am, and I still have my house.
Yes.
Able to keep the house and was able to, like that was the goal, and to be able to financially, be able to support myself, to be able to stay here so the kids can stay in the school district and everything was that was the goal, and here I am.
That's an inspiration.
And that was the reason we even, from the beginning, I do try to look at the positive in the situations, but I think that's even how you and I met. Was one of my guests, my current guest. We had a huge snowstorm last week, and she came out and she borrowed a pair of my snow boots, and my snowblower, my brand new snowblower, wouldn't start. And she came out and helped me shovel my really long driveway. And she had her first snowball fight with my daughter. She's where she's from. Like she never saw snow like this. So, but I was like really, I those type of people too. It's like, and she's not someone that's always around either. But she was just, so she saw the snow. It can be, the first big snowfall in Cleveland's kind of magical, and after that we kind of like get really mad about it. But the first one's always magical, and that was like, but to see her, she was just as excited as like the kids were for the first, snowfall. But that was her first one she's ever seen, So that was you get great people like that, That's
awesome. Well, thank you again for sharing.
Sure.
Until next time, guys. Happy hosting.
Thanks.